I like to move it. I like to move it. You like to move it.
The next objective that we're going to learn is how to simplify negative exponents. For this presentation, we are going to use the method move it, lose it. So whenever you see a negative exponents, to simplify um, the negative exponent, you just have to move the expression and lose the negative sign. So a negative exponent means you move the base to the other side of the fraction and make the exponent positive. So if you have x raised to negative n, so if this is our fraction bar, this is in our numerator, you move this down and lose the negative sign. So x raised to negative n is 1 over x raised to n. Now if you have 1 over x raised to negative n, we just have to move this up. So move it and lose the negative sign. So you will have x raised to n over 1. Simply x raised to n. Let's have our first example. Note that we cannot have any negative or zero exponents. So when they ask you to simplify expression, make sure that your final answer does not have a zero exponent or a negative exponent. So for x raised to negative 4, I'll write first the fraction bar. So I'll just move this and lose the negative. Then I will have y raised to 0 in our numerator. But anything raised to 0 is equal to 1. So our final answer will be 1 over x raised to 4. Next question. P raised to negative 7 divided by p raised to negative 5. Now if we are going to apply move it and lose it, this will go down, move it, lose the negative sign. Same thing with p raised to negative 5, move it up, lose the negative sign. So you will have here p5 divided by p7. So when we divide a monomial, keep the base, subtract the exponents, 5 minus 7, which will give us p raised to negative 2. But if we have a negative exponent, we can further simplify this by moving this one down and then losing the negative sign. So you will have 1 over p squared. Of course, you can solve this question by using the property that we learned before. That is, if we are dividing, you keep the base and then you subtract exponents. So you will have p raised to negative 7 minus of a negative 5, that's just plus 5, which will give us p raised to negative 2. And again, once you simplify p raised to negative 2, move it down, lose the negative sign. You will get the same result. So our final answer will be option number 3. Next example, I have 3r4s squared divided by 18r cubed s4. Let's simplify our coefficient first. 3 over 18 is 1 over 6. r4 divided by r cubed. So we have to subtract the exponents, 4 minus 3. And then for my s squared divided by s4, keep the base, subtract the exponents. So you will have here 1 times r raised to 1, that's just r raised to 1, and then s raised to negative 2. Now we have a negative exponent, so we can just move this down and lose the negative sign. So this will be our final answer. Now there's another way of solving questions like this. without even dealing with negative exponents, just like s raised to negative 2, or the using the alternate method. So let's solve the same question, but we are going to use the alternate method of solving the problem. So first, we just need to look and see where we have the larger exponent and leave the variable in that location, and then subtract the smaller exponent from the larger one. So solving the same question, let's simplify first our coefficients. 3 over 18 is 1 over 6. Now if you look at r4 and r cubed, this exponent is larger compared to the exponent of r in the denominator. So we have to leave the r in the numerator, then subtract the exponents 4 minus 3. If you look at s, the exponent of s in the denominator is larger compared to the exponent of s in the numerator. So s will stay in your denominator, and then subtract the smaller exponent. You will have 4 minus 2. So you will have 1 times r raised to 1, which is just r, then 6 times s raised to 2. So we were able to get the same answer using this alternate method.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
Alright, next example. First, we simplify our coefficients. 45 divided by 90, or 45 over 90, is 1/2. Now we have x5 and x10, so 10 is larger than 5, and 10 is the exponent of our denominator, so your x stays in your denominator. Subtract the exponents. Y cubed and y2, this one is larger compared to your 2, so your y stays in your numerator. Subtract the exponents, 3 minus 2. Z squared and z25, keep your z in the denominator because the exponent here is larger compared to the exponent in your numerator. So you will have 25 minus 2. So 1 times y raised to 1 is y raised to 1. 2 times x raised to 10 minus 5 is x raised to 5. And then z raised to 23. So this will be our final answer using the alternate method of solving the expression. Alright, let's solve this next example. So I have here a negative exponent. So we can move this one down and lose the negative sign. Of course, we should have 1 here. And then x4 times x cubed will just give us x raised to 7. Remember that when you multiply monomial, keep the base and add the exponents. Next example. So I have here a couple of bases that have negative exponents. So this r raised to negative 5, so move it down and lose the negative sign. I'll just copy our r cube here. S raised to negative 2, move it and lose the negative sign. I have s raised to negative 3 in our denominator, move it and lose the negative sign. So you will have s cubed, r cubed times r5, keep the base, add the exponents, times s squared. Now we can divide s cubed by s squared. Now 3 is larger than 2, so s stays in our numerator. 3 minus 2 will give us 1. So our final answer will be s divided by R8. Let's have our final example. So I have here expression being raised to an exponent 3. Now before we distribute this exponent to each of these exponents, I will simplify anything that we can simplify inside the parentheses. Now we have here a negative exponent, so I can move this down and lose the negative sign. So this will go down, it will become x cubed. I'll just copy the 4 and the x squared here. I have y here, I have y squared in the numerator, and I have the exponent outside the parentheses. Next, we can simplify our x squared times x cubed. So that will give us, so this will give us x raised to 5. You add the exponents. Then I have a y here, again raised to 3. I have y squared divided by y. Of course, the exponent of y is 1. So when you're dividing, you keep the base, subtract exponents, 2 minus 1, which is just 1. And then I have 4x5 raised to 3. Now we can distribute this exponent to 1, to 5, and then the exponent of 4 is 1, so 3 times 1 also. So we will have here y raised to 3, 4 raised to 3, and then x raised to 5 raised to 3 is x raised to 15. Now 4 raised to 3 is just 4 times 4 times 4, which is equal to 64, x raised to 15. So this will be our final answer.
I like to move it, move it. He like to move it, move it. She like to move it,